want to spend my life mending broken people. I want to spend my life removing pain. Lord, let my words heal a heart that hurts. I want to spend my life mending broken people. I want to spend my life mending broken people.
Hi, welcome to 3ABN Today, and I'm Curtis, and that would be Paula. How you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful.
You're looking mighty good, too.
Well, praise the Lord. Praise
Yes, all right. Another cooking show, my dear.
the Lord. Another show, another Today show.
Another Today show with a lot of new recipes. Some of these are new recipes, aren't they?
New recipes.
Okay.
Brand new.
Because
brand
you're
new.
always developing new recipes all the time until the second coming of Jesus Christ.
Always in the kitchen.
Always.
First love, God. Second love, Curtis. Third love, the children. And fourth love, recipes.
Oh, I'm right behind God. That's right. That's about the highest I'm going to get. Okay, I'll settle for that, all right? But I know my wife, she'll always love to experiment with recipes all the time, and so she's always in the kitchen, always. And, of course, I always have to sample these recipes, and I'm the taste tester, but somebody has to do it, and I'm the one.
Well, people are always looking for easy, quick ways. They want to eat healthy, but they want it quick and easy.
Right.
And so today's
taste
recipe,
good.
it's definitely got to taste good. It's
Yes.
got to look good, taste good, smell good, all that together.
Yes.
And then they say also, don't forget about the money. I don't want to
Yes.
spend a lot of money. Okay.
And the ingredients is easy to get.
Easy to get.
Okay, so you don't have to, go to China to get the recipes or ingredients. It's right here.
You don't.
Most of these are regular grocery stores right here.
Most of them are from the
neighborhood.
regular grocery stores. The grocery stores have gotten to the point now where they're actually bringing in a lot of the health food section. So you'll see things like, where you used to only see, like, let's say lasagna noodles that were semolina, enriched. Well, now you have the whole wheat noodles and the pasta, all the different pastas out there now. They're all done in the whole wheat blend. So,
Okay.
a lot more different things out there, a lot more. They changed out. The cheeses have changed out. The soy cream cheeses have changed out.
Okay.
And all because of the fact that the community, the population is saying, I want to be more healthy.
Right, right. People are moving that way too as well, yeah.
And not to mention they want to get the money.
Yes, okay. As we're the South Central Conference Health Ministries Director, and that includes Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, and northwest part of Florida. So we're talking about the South, the deep South, probably the most challenging area in this nation. And so when it comes to healthful living, this is really an area that is really needed in our territory as South Central Conference Health Director. So this is really needed.
It's needed, and once again, like I said before, Curtis, they are just saying, if it's going to be healthy, I am running and ripping. I don't know about you, but everybody seems to be in a fast track everywhere. And so if the food is available, if it's ready, if it's, all you have to do is warm it up, or maybe prepare it within 35, 45 minutes, then people are more inclined to go healthy. Otherwise, and when you get hungry, you're going to grab whatever's in place. And that means things in the refrigerator and things you brought in. Because
And it's usually not healthy.
No.
If you grab something, yes.
And then that evening you start crying because you realize that you ate a lot of stuff you shouldn't have had.
Now you feel depressed, and then you eat more.
Oh, yeah.
Because you feel bad.
Oh, yeah.
And the dominoes keeps rolling down the hill. So, but these recipes today.
These are good. These are good. These are actually, believe it or not, people are used to using the stove, the oven for fixing their foods, and when they're fixing their foods in the stove, it's going to take not only more heat, but also a longer time. Well, these recipes that we're presenting today on today's show are all quick and easy recipes that you can prepare on top, like our easy vegan stovetop lasagna. And then we're going to be doing a sautéed kale, greens. And we're going to go to that skillet shepherd's pie. And when we finish that pie, we're actually going to chicken fajitas.
Chicken fajitas.
Yeah, with all the fixings on it.
Okay.
And we're going to end our show with an apple raisin pecan burritos.
Now, chicken, that's not the real chicken, or we're going to
None
find
of
out
it's
later
real. None of it's real.
Yeah.
Our 3ABN audience knows.
They know better.
They know. And those who are watching for the very first time, because one
Yeah.
time
New
we had,
watchers, new
we had
viewers.
people saying they were at a hotel room and they turned their TV on and they heard us laughing and they switched back and they saw 3ABN. And so they might not know that we're actually a program that does all plant-based cooking. And so with that in mind, yeah, we have to say that when we talk about everything. It's either a mock beef crumble or a mock chicken crumble, mock steaks. Everything is done in a plant-based format, but it looks like and acts like the real thing.
Okay. God's original diet.
God's original
All
diet,
right.
okay?
So, therefore, now these are recipes on top of the stove, so people are not turning on their ovens, correct?
No oven on. And
So
also,
save electricity.
I know. One of my friends, when I told her we were doing this show, she said, lasagna on top of the stove?
On
really,
top of the
Paula?
stove.
Come on, you know you got to go in that oven with that lasagna, with all those 3 tiers and everything, you
Yes.
know? And I said, no, you don't. We're actually going to do lasagna on top of the stove.
We're going to save some people's utility bills on this one.
Yes.
Oh, yes,
And everybody's
all
going to be
right.
ready. You know,
That's
this is
right.
a recipe that the children can use as well. So let's go to the actual recipe.
Okay, let's do it.
This recipe calls for 3 tablespoons of olive oil, 1 package of mock beef crumbles, 1 24-ounce jar of spaghetti sauce, 1 3/4 cups of water, 1/3 cup of Italian dressing, 1 teaspoon of parsley, 1 teaspoon of Italian seasoning, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 tablespoon of chicken style seasoning, 1 1/2 cup of tofu, silken firm, crumbled, 3 garlic cloves minced, 8 whole wheat lasagna noodles, and 1 cup of Delia cheddar style cheese.
Okay, now let's talk about some of these ingredients because it may be new to a lot of people. The chicken style seasoning. Let's talk about that for those who may be watching for the first time. Chicken style seasoning. Because I can hear the question already.
Yeah. Well, let me just say that. Well, as you know, as you're going to be seeing as we're putting this together,
Okay.
the chicken style seasoning and beef style seasoning are
Right.
mock seasonings that look like, and basically they're actually seasonings that do not have any chicken or beef in them at whatsoever.
So these
okay,
are mock.
And they have a brand out there called McKay's. They've got a couple other brands out there also. But when you go look for them in your supermarket, you will see they're actually imitation chicken, imitation beef. So it will say on there.
And they're in the regular grocery stores, not necessarily in your health food store.
In the natural food section. In the natural
Okay.
food section. And if it's not there, talk to the people there and say, you need a natural food section.
That's
what
right.
we say, you know.
Okay.
I saw it on 3ABN, and I would like to get some chicken style seasoning, beef
Okay.
style seasoning. All right.
Lobby. All right.
Lobby for it, you know. And so, yeah, we got that. And also, we have our beef crumbles, which is actually
Yes.
a ground beef that looks like regular ground beef.
Now, there's many brands or products of ground beef mock.
Yes.
Many variations or brands of that.
This one, Curtis, comes frozen. It actually
Okay.
comes frozen, and so it's a better one. We used to use the TVP.
Okay.
Now they've got a frozen one out there that you can actually use. A lot of companies making the beef crumbles now. That's optional to us as well. And also we're using, believe it or not, whole wheat noodles. Our lasagna noodles are a whole wheat noodle that we're going to be using in this recipe. And I want to say that when we did that whole wheat noodle before, now remember now, on the programs, people always ask me, are these your recipes? Did you just come up with those? And so what I do is a lot of times I will go into a recipe that I might have had in a book from back in the day. That's back in the day.
That's some time ago.
And I will actually go in there and I will transfer the things out. So if it says a regular enriched pasta noodle, I will use a whole wheat pasta noodle. If it says regular ground beef, I will use the mock ground beef. And so I'm able to switch things out that way. And then some things, like for instance, you will see also, we're going to be using also a cheese. It's called a Delia cheese, which is a new cheese on the market. There's actually a cheese that we use to simulate that of regular cheese, okay? And for our cottage cheese, believe it or not, Curtis, we're actually going to be using our silken tofu.
Okay.
Because it has that resemblance, as they're going to see in a little bit, they're going to see the resemblance of how it looks like actual cottage cheese, all right?
All right.
And so we're going to go ahead and, I think that's everything that you were actually asking me that might be new or different.
The Delia cheese, and you mentioned that, and whole wheat. So we don't want to use enrich or refine.
No enrich,
all right?
no enrich.
Because that can lead to pre-diabetes.
Absolutely.
Refined carbohydrates.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that too.
That.
I'm going to start off by putting in my olive oil in my skillet to get it ready so that I can do the mock ground beef. So let me go ahead and
Now,
turn
how did
that
this
on.
recipe on top of the stove? I mean, you just did you just experiment this, or you
Now,
saw
believe it or not,
someplace,
I actually
or-
saw this one. Matter of fact, somebody actually had a recipe for a stovetop lasagna, but it had all the other stuff
all
in
the
it.
stuff that are not as healthy.
Yeah. And I'm really thankful that, I can, it's a God-given
It's a gift.
that he has actually said, I can go back in there and say, well, I mean, a stovetop is a good idea, and quick and fast is a good idea, and who don't like lasagna, So I just said to myself, let's see if we can make this a little bit more healthier,
Okay.
plant-based, all
And
right?
what did Self say in response?
Self said, go ahead and do it, girl.
That's
and I
what
did
Self
it.
said.
I did it, and I'm telling you, we already had it at a couple people's house, and they're like, what is that? And I said, stovetop lasagna. Yeah.
What's those
Now-
recipes?
Now, of course, some of my friends that are not vegans, who means they no milk, no eggs, no dairy, I take that word vegan out because that gets them all worked up. So I just say stovetop, or skillet, lasagna. Okay. And then they eat it and everything, and then they always like, girl, that was really good, and hell, that cheese and everything up in there. And I just start laughing at them.
After they swallow.
Yeah, always let them eat first.
They have to swallow first.
Don't comment to people as they're eating things.
That's the
Always
food in their
wait
mouth.
till
It's
they
too-
eat.
yeah, it's too soon.
And then they ask you for the recipe. And then they look at the recipe and say, hey, wait a minute, what is that?
Timing is critical.
Very much so.
Yes, it
All
is.
right, so with that, we're going to
Okay.
go ahead on, and we're going to put our ground beef in.
Okay. Like I said before, there's
This is
different, that's my ground beef in the
ground
grocery
beef.
store. There's many brands out there. So we're using one of the mock brown
One of the
beef.
brands.
Okay.
And I'm going to, let me just get all my goodies out, because
All right.
Matter of fact, we have someone who calls on the phone one day, and she said her daughter is about 7 years old, and every time the show
yeah.
comes on, Abundant Living, what she does, she runs and grabs all her mother's appliances and stuff, and she goes in the kitchen, and she says she copies exactly like me. All
She
the goodies
mimics.
out, everything.
I think she said she has
That's
the
too
hand
funny.
on the hip,
Everything.
and got the head moving, everything, and
I don't know
by
where
now
she got
she's
that
probably in college by now because that's some time ago.
Probably so.
Yeah, probably
Now, Chris,
so.
what I want you to do is to go ahead on and start mashing up that tofu
Okay.
for us with the fork.
All right.
And then you're going to be adding to that, you're going to be adding up the ingredients I have right in front of you.
Now this
Okay.
is what, firm, extra firm?
This is a extra firm.
Extra firm, okay.
That we're using. We're using a silken. It's silken because we got to have that creamy look to it.
So this
It
is
looks
the
like
more
cottage
new
cheese.
tofu
Right.
that comes
right,
in a box.
Right. And they're also, now they actually have a 16-ounce silken soft also. Just look in
Okay.
there, and do that. Look in there and get that together. Now, the reason why I also like this recipe is because, guess what? You do it on top of the stove in a skillet. So it's done in a skillet. It's very,
I guess
very easy.
my first question is, how is it going to bake through and through
It
on
does-
top of the stove? I mean, well, I guess you'll tell us
Yeah, you wait till
as we walk through
You wait
this.
till you see the finished product.
just wait.
You just wait.
You just wait.
Okay, now this only takes a few minutes because actually it's already done, and basically most of your frozen entree, like let's say your beef crumbles or chicken crumbles, they'll tell you just about 2 or 3 minutes to make sure that they do get hot. But because it's going to cook on the stove, it's going to do its thing. So I'm going to go ahead on and begin to add in my spaghetti sauce. And Curtis, if you
Okay,
will.
now is that mild or just I
Any
guess
spaghetti,
only
chunky, any kind of
whatever
spaghetti
preference.
sauce, whatever your favorite spaghetti sauces
Okay.
are, is what you use. You can use the one with vegetables in it. You
Okay.
can use the plain one. You can use the ones with mushrooms in it. It's whatever your favorite sauce is, okay?
I think the also is garden vegetable or something.
It's a
like that.
garden vegetable.
Yeah, garden vegetable.
And you're going to go ahead and add in your rest of your stuff. You got
Okay.
garlic powder,
Garlic
you got your
powder.
Italian seasoning, you got your onion powder, garlic powder, all those are part of that.
Okay, all
I'm going
this-
to now go ahead and put in my water. This is 3 3/4 cups of water. All this is needed because
Chicken style honey?
Yep,
in here?
all that
Okay.
goes in there. Now, all this goes in here. Let me just go ahead and change this out.
And
All this goes in because we got to put the noodles in. The noodles are going to have to cook in the actual sauce itself. So I'm going to, once you mix all that together, all right, and you can go ahead and put the parsley in
Parsley
here too.
in here too,
All right,
okay.
I'm going to go ahead and put my Italian seasoning in. This is what helps to get, Italian dressing. This is also what helps to give
when
that
we
flavor.
put the, what's this,
That goes
garlic?
with me. That's
Oh, that's yours, okay.
All right, we're going to put that in. And we're going to go ahead and put in the garlic.
Now this takes the place of cottage cheese then, right?
Yep, that's taking the place of cottage cheese.
Okay.
Okay, so we got that garlic going in.
So this is a cholesterol-free dish.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Now, this is the part I like. Now, on a recipe, they asked for cottage cheese, and they asked for that to go in there. I kept saying, what are we going to use in the place of cottage cheese? So then I said, wait a minute, we can actually use the actual silken tofu. So we're going to begin to put in to the recipe the tofu.
Okay.
All right. Remember now, this is everything that's usually in a lasagna.
Right.
Right? You got the cottage cheese in there.
So you got that, so you don't have the cholesterol, you don't have the saturated fat.
That's right, that's right.
And the tofu
Assimilation.
is bland, it has no taste, so that's a good thing. It picks up those
Yes.
flavors of the onion powder and garlic powder.
And how many times has a person actually made lasagna and discovered that the three-tiered layered lasagna became one big mush? Because the tiers did not stay like they were supposed to.
It didn't stay up.
So what difference does it make the way
Yeah.
it goes in? Long as all the things that's supposed to be in there is actually in there, right?
Okay.
All right, so here we go. So we're going to put that in. I'm going to get finished the rest of this.
And,
Okay. And we got to get all the goodies out.
and now the whole wheat.
Now let me just say something about those before I
yeah,
put those
okay.
in. And you can see that you're going to bring it to a boil, but I'm going to turn this down a little bit. Okay? You can put that away for me. And let me just go ahead and turn this down. All right. Now, I just take and push them down a little bit.
Oh, I see.
Now, on the recipe, it called for regular noodles, right? Regular enriched noodles. Well, I didn't want to use regular enriched noodles, so what I did was I got the whole wheat noodles. And in order to do the whole wheat noodles, because on your regular noodles, they actually call it stovetop or regular oven-ready noodles, enriched noodles. So that means it only takes about 15 minutes for them to get done. Well, that's not going to happen when you do your pasta noodles. They take a little bit longer. So I actually cooked my pasta noodles. I want you to notice that I have them in little squares, because it really and truly, you have to make little squares out of them because you can't put the whole thing in there. So all we're going to do is just actually drop in the noodles. Let's put them on there.
Oh.
Okay.
So
when I get the whole noodle, I get the whole noodle and I break it into 4 pieces.
Into 4 pieces and
Right.
just put them right there.
And it takes 8 of them to actually make this dish up. 8 4s is 32, so 32 noodles all together. Okay? Because we've got to get it done, and it's not going to get done if we do it this way. So all I'm going to do is just push them down.
So the noodles are already cooked
Yes. For whole wheat, yes, they're already cooked.
first, and then you put them in there.
Then you put them, you get them ready
to
for
let them
this.
finish cooking.
Right, right.
Okay.
And I say al dente because we don't do the whole time that the noodles are supposed to cook. So therefore, you're just going to get them a little bit to the point where they're actually, and al dente means if the noodle takes about, let's say, 12 minutes to get done, then you're going to go to about maybe 8. And by that
Yeah, see,
time,
that's a
they should be
term
nice
I
and
didn't
soft.
know growing up in Cleveland. El dente. What was that? El dente.
This means they're not completely cooked all the way.
Oh, okay. I didn't use that word when I was growing up.
I
you know.
understand, I
Yeah,
understand.
in the
I understand.
playground, we didn't never
So,
say el dente.
you see what we're doing? We're actually just taking the noodles and we're pushing them down inside of the actual pan
okay.
itself. Okay?
Uh-huh.
Now,
Now, is this one whole box?
no,
or
this is
just
only
8?
eight noodles
And
cut
just
into 4s,
cut into 4s,
which
okay.
gives you 32 noodles altogether. And you're going to use a large skillet. As you can see, my skillet is large, or it's got to be a deep skillet because you've got to be able to get in the noodles into the recipe
Yeah.
itself. Okay?
So now, when this is finished, you're not going to have that stand-up three-layer
oh, no,
tier
no, because it's
Yeah.
actually called stovetop.
stovetop.
But you don't have to turn your oven on.
Yeah.
And you still get
And
the
you're
same
saving
lasagna taste.
electricity.
And you're saving electricity.
Yes, you are.
Yep. Now, I'm going to finish these up, and all you're doing is just making space for the noodles to go down. All right?
So you're gonna make sure
Don't
they
be
cover so they
concerned.
can-
Noodles have to be completely
Yeah,
covered.
right.
all right?
Okay.
And like I said before, this recipe is knock down, drag out delicious.
Okay, for those who may not be familiar with that type of language, what she means is this recipe is scrumptious, it is good for interpretation. Just saying.
Okay, just saying. So, let me tell you. Now, I'm going to put the lid on because you notice that we talked about the cheese, and I'm going to mention that in a hot second. But we're going to put our lid on, and it goes for like 30 minutes. It actually cooks on top of the stove 30 minutes. You can get your salad ready.
minute, just 30
You can
minutes?
get your garlic bread and stuff together. You can get whatever you're going to have. You can have your broccoli or your whatever your green vegetables, string beans. You can have all that. You can work on all that while the lasagna is getting ready. So within 30 minutes after you set your table, this dish is ready to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
now-
So now, when do you put the cheese?
Now, that's why the cheese is still here.
Okay.
Cheese does not go on until you get done. Once the 30 minutes is up, then you sprinkle your cheese on top. And then you put the lid back on it, and it goes for about 5 minutes, and the cheese will melt on top of it. And you will see this at the end of the program. You will see what it looks like when we talk about melting the cheese on top. And I know you said Delia, where's that? There's all kind of cheeses on the market that you can actually use now. And Delia is a new one out on the market. It's done with a tapioca. You know tapioca, we use for tapioca pudding. It's done with a tapioca, and that's what actually gives it the texture and the melting it needs to have, rather than some of your other cheeses that people talk about, all right?
So now this is not soy-based, it's not dairy-based.
No, it's non-dairy.
Non-dairy, non-soy.
Right.
But
what does it look like?
Yes, I mean
It looks like regular cheddar cheese.
And it has a nice mouthfeel to it.
It has a wonderful mouthfeel. Somebody asked me a question one time about, what about the pizzas I'm used to? What about my mac and cheese?
Yeah.
Okay, well, believe it or not, those are the things that you can actually use. Look on the market and test out some of the new things on the market and try them out, and you will see that they really will work for you as well, all right?
Okay.
So that is our lasagna on top of the stove.
On top of the stove.
On top of the stove,
All right.
okay? And so we're now going to go to another one of my favorites, which is the sautéed kale green.
Okay.
It calls for 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 1/2 medium onion cut into strips, 1/2 medium red pepper cut into strips, 1/2 medium yellow pepper cut into strips, 1 bunch of organic kale greens, and salt to taste. Now, this is a real good recipe.
Okay.
You've been hearing a lot of stuff about kale. People have been doing kale. They're going kale crazy.
Kale crazy.
They're putting kale in smoothies and kale in their salad.
Part of the green drinks,
Yeah,
huh?
part of green drink, but kale's got some real good medicinal properties to it. It is actually a part of the cruciferous group, which is cruciferous, is the cabbage family. So that cabbage family, you got Brussels sprouts and kale and collard greens and cauliflower. All those are part of that kingdom. These are all cancer preventers. But this Skillet kale is different.
The stove.
Yeah, once
Skillet.
again, on top of the stove. It's on the stove.
Okay.
Because usually when you cook the kale, you usually cook it in a pot on the stove. It takes a long time.
Yeah, with a lot of water and all that.
Once again, we're going to do it a different way. So
I see no water up here.
there's no water. We're going to turn this on and start getting it ready. And it's actually going to take in that, we're going to put our olive oil in.
Okay.
Let it get going.
All
right.
This is one dish. A lot of people may not like kale that much. When it comes to the food, the cruciferous or brassicas family, sometimes it's called in the medical journals brassica, but has a lot of medicinal properties. My wife has said chemo preventive, so has a lot of good properties for that.
Now, what you're going to do while we're getting ready, I would like for you to go ahead on and start cutting those peppers up for me.
Okay.
And, when I buy that kale, it actually comes in a large leaf, and in order for you to be able to use it in this particular recipe, it's got a cord on it. And you're going to take that actual long stem, or we call it a coil, out of it, and so that it's in small bite-sized pieces, and that's what you actually want on that, okay?
Okay.
So I'm going to help you with that with my other knife there. We got the yellow and we got the green. All these are going at the same time, and also the onions are going to go in there also as well, okay? And this gives it color. That's the reason why I like to use the different colors in there.
You want all of these, honey?
Uh-huh. We're going to put all of those in. Let me move these over. Yep.
So we eat with our eyes.
We eat with our eyes, and this this is beautiful in this picture, Okay. We do the onions, though. We're going to slice the onions up in this way, okay?
And you're beautiful in this camera.
Well, thank you.
No, thank you.
Okay. Let's make sure we don't have any crazy ones up in there.
Undesirables.
Undesirables, okay. Go ahead and do the rest of that for me. If I go ahead and start put that in, we got the olive oil is ready to go.
Okay.
All righty. And we're just going to go ahead on and put in.
I hear the sizzling.
Hear that sizzling. Hear that sizzling. And the one thing about this, you want to be real careful because you don't want them to get done way before the actual kale gets done. So we're kind of putting them on the bottom because we're actually sauteing or caramelizing them, as they would say.
When they're a little bit more finer?
Go ahead and give me those. That's the onions.
All right.
Okay. I'm going to put that in. This is what gives that flavor as well. All right. Okay. Now, right now is when I'm going to actually go ahead and begin to put in the actual kale. I've already cut it up into bite-sized pieces. Remember now, got rid of the main stalk on it, and we're just going to put them in because of the water content of the kale. It's actually going to shrink as it cooks. All right?
Now, is this frozen or
Just
fresh? Fresh kale.
Fresh organic kale.
Okay.
Okay? So we got that going. I usually put my lid on for a few minutes. Okay. And then a little bit, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my
And you still
spatula
have the salt, but that's later?
at the end.
Oh,
At the
okay.
end, we're going to use the salt, okay? And so this is really good because, I mean, once you put the lid on it and let it
Okay.
sit for a while, you're going to actually bring up the onions and the peppers and everything on top of it. So the name of the game is we're going to, you know, look and see, because once it gets started, believe it or not, because there's so much water
Okay.
in the actual kale itself that it begins to shrink right there.
Now, tell me something. How do people normally cook kale? I mean, how is it
Usually
normally
in
done?
water. They usually do it in water, a lot of water. They'll do collard greens the same way, mustard
It's a lot
greens
of
the same
water.
way, a lot of water, and cook it on top of the stove till it gets tender.
Okay.
But normally not sauteing. This is sauteed.
So
which
you're
means
using
exactly how
kale's
it's-
own natural water that's already
Right.
in the kale?
Right.
Okay, no additional water?
No additional water.
Okay.
Okay. So let's see what happens. We pour it
Okay.
up, and you can see
Yes,
it's already
okay.
liquid there. Okay. I'm going to sit this right here for a minute.
It's already cooked down.
It's already cooking down.
So now you're just gonna
and now we're
turn
just
it.
going to bring up
Oh, I see.
the color.
Has a nice color to it. Okay,
Okay. And you're going to cook this until tender. It takes about 30 minutes.
okay.
Now, only on the stove, when people are cooking kale, it takes longer. All right.
So now this is a 3ABN stovetop, a little bit faster than 30 minutes.
This is the stovetop.
So 30 minutes has just expired.
Now, you know, we had already did our lasagna. And so now, once again, this can be also an addition to the lasagna that you're going to have that day. You can actually do your kale greens
That's right, because
also. And
lasagna
this can
probably
be the
just about
greens.
ready.
Yes.
when you're doing this
yes.
too.
You can go ahead and get your greens ready, get your salad ready. You know, isn't that pretty? Okay, and it keeps, now I'm going to tell you something else too I like about it, is it
Okay.
keeps that dark green color.
It does. The color's
know?
still there, yes.
Okay, so I'm going to put that. and Put
Okay.
the lid back on. Remember now, we're not
Now,
doing the
that's
salt.
been, what, 15, 30 minutes? Or what?
Yeah, about 15 minutes or so
Okay.
right now. And then once you turn it over,
Turn over.
and then you're going to let it go another 15 minutes, or you know, you got to check it. You know, you can always just take and put a fork in there and test it, see if it's tender, and let it go a little bit longer. You want to make sure that you don't have your fire up real high. I started off with a medium fire, and I moved it down to a simmer and let it simmer. Now don't add the salt until it's all finished. Okay? Don't be putting
Now,
that
why,
salt at
why
the end.
salt at the end as opposed to in the beginning? What's the reason?
Well, there's no reason. Well, I don't put salt on when I first start anything anyway. I mean, because salt kind of keeps something from getting, keeps it tough. It doesn't allow
I
it the
see.
opportunity to get tender.
Okay.
So salt toughens up everything. It toughens up your beans, it toughens up your rice. So I never add the salt in the recipe.
'Cause a lot of
itself
people
until
do
the end.
that
Right.
before.
It takes longer to cook.
Do you think I would get as smart as you as far as cooking is concerned? You think that's possible?
We'll have to see. I mean, you know, you're coming along pretty well.
I'm coming along pretty well?
As we go to the very next recipe. How about that?
Okay, let's do
All
that.
right, let's go there. All right, we're making skillet shepherd pie. 1 15-ounce can of kidney beans drained, 1 cup of mock beef crumbles, 1 16-ounce jar of thick and chunky salsa, 1 cup of whole kernel corn, 1 medium carrot shredded, 2 cups of warm mashed potatoes, 3 tablespoons of soy Parmesan cheese, and your chopped parsley. Now, I like this particular recipe because this shepherd's pie, normally when it's made, is actually baked in the oven.
Oh, in the oven. So
But
again, this is a new
Yeah, we're doing
form of cooking for a lot of people,
quick cooking once again,
saving electricity.
and using all the ingredients that usually goes in there.
Okay. Now,
And-
why is it called shepherd's pie? I mean, why not mechanic's pie or,
Okay, it's called shepherd's pie because back in the day, from what I understand, but don't quote me,
from what you understand?
that all the leftovers that was left over, you know, in the fields, like when they had crop and stuff left over, they had corn, they had carrots, they had all this kind of stuff, beans, and they would put it together in a casserole dish
Oh, okay.
with some kind of ground beef or something like that.
Okay.
And then they would put mashed potatoes on top of it.
Oh.
And it became
So just like leftovers and just put some mashed potatoes on top and just all one dish?
one dish.
Okay, so now we're going to do this on top of the
on
stove.
top of the stove, because if you put it in the oven, it's going to take longer. But we're going to put it on top of the stove. It's going to take just a few minutes, not as long as
Oh.
before.
So
I
you
can do
save
that
money
lasagna.
and you save time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and then on top of that, I've made some changes, as you know already. In the shepherd's pie, we're actually going to be using a mock ground beef, plant-based, and it looks just like regular ground beef. We're going to use that instead of regular beef.
Okay.
And then we're also going to be using, they usually have sauce, tomato sauce, or stewed tomatoes. I'm going to be using salsa.
Oh.
And salsa makes it have more of a twang
Nice
to
little
it.
spice to it.
A little spice. You got to
yeah.
kind of change
Just
it up
a little
bit.
kick.
Just change it a little
Just
bit.
like mild or
This is a mild, it's
Okay.
a mild salsa, okay,
Okay.
that I'm using. And then I got regular, of course, the kidney or the pinto beans are always a part of that staple. So is the corn, and so is the carrots.
So you
okay?
can use kidney or pinto? I mean, it doesn't really
Anyone,
matter.
but I mean, for this recipe, because I'm trying to assimilate that of what they're used to, that I'm using the red pinto.
Oh, okay.
The red, am I using red pinto? I don't know why you asked me that question. I'm using red kidney. There we
Red
go.
kidney.
We got it together.
Red kidney.
All right, we're fine.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to once again go ahead on and turn on the stove. And now on this one, believe it or not, I'm not using any oil.
Yeah, I noticed that. So,
The sauce is going to be the
oh, the
warmer
salsa. Okay.
on that one. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead on. I'm going to put the beef in first, and of course, once again, because of the fact that it's not real beef, you know, we're just putting it in there because it is a part of the recipe, but it's already pre-cooked.
Okay.
And then once again, once it cooks, that which is not done will continue on in there as well.
Now, is this
All
the
right.
frozen? There's many
Once again,
products,
frozen.
different types of non-ground beef. This is a frozen.
Yeah, I remember when we first came on 3ABN. Oh, okay, that was quite a while back.
Quite some
anyway,
time.
Anyway, you know, at that time all they had was TVP, textured vegetable protein.
That's true.
And we were actually would take it, it's like little granulars. We'd add hot water to it, and it would swell up and look like ground beef. Well, now they've got so many companies that have come out with ground beefs looking like ground beef, already frozen, and they actually have less sodium. They have no cholesterols. Okay, some of them real small amount of saturated fat. All right, and so therefore they are the more preferred ones that people are using now. Okay.
Already come in granulars, just like
Already
just
come
right
ready to
here.
go,
Yeah,
already come ready to go.
Some are frozen. Most are frozen.
All of them are frozen.
Yeah.
They have a mock beef. They've got chicken strips.
Chicken,
They've got beef strips. All those are now on the market. Okay.
In regular grocery stores.
In the regular grocery stores,
Okay.
the frozen food section is where you would actually find this once again. So I'm not really into trying to get all the beef ground up. I'm going to go ahead on and put in my salsa.
So the salsa helps cook that then.
Yes, that helps cook it up.
Yes.
And if you would, once I get this down, and get all the goodies, all the goodies, all the goodies. Everything is important. Don't want to leave anybody out. Okay? And then I'm going to go ahead on and put in the beans. This is also another very pretty dish. And then Curtis, I'm going to go ahead and stir this around. And I want you to go ahead on and put in for me the actual corn.
The actual corn,
Put the
okay.
corn in.
Now this fresh, frozen, doesn't really matter can or
No,
what's
remember
your
now,
preference,
it is
honey?
whatever they're going to be using. Once again,
Whatever
it's
you have in your
leftovers
cupboard.
that makes this up, okay?
All right.
All right, and then we're going to go ahead and put the carrots in,
Okay.
shredded carrots, okay? Get the goodies out, okay? And then we're just going to stir it on up. And you can see, and you know, I've seen this also with green peppers in it. You know, it's actually any kind of leftovers that you have. And because of the fact that the beans are already done and the salsa is already done, it does not take a long time for this one to go, okay? But it is a very pretty dish. It's a very pretty dish.
Very
As you can
colorful.
see, very, very colorful. You know, let's say, for instance, if you want to do, I'm going to put the lid on.
Okay.
Let's say, for instance, if you have green peas, okay, or you might have string beans. But anything that's a vegetable or you can put in here, and then it's actually just going to, it's kind of warming it up. Now, what you do not see is you don't see the mashed potatoes that I have on this because, first of all, this has to go ahead on and cook. And it takes about maybe 20, 30 minutes. And meanwhile, I'm making up my potatoes. Now, you know how to make mashed potatoes. All you're doing is taking your potatoes and boiling them. You mash them with your masher, your potato masher, and you're going to add a little bit of margarine and milk to it. And voila, you have your mashed potatoes, which is what's going to go on top of this. But instead, Curtis, where normally in the baked one, you actually spread the potatoes, mashed potatoes all across it to give it like a crust.
On first.
Right.
Okay.
No, after you get done with this, you're going to,
Okay.
you know, you're going to put your mashed potatoes on top of it, all
okay.
right? And then you're going to sprinkle on your cheese. Well, because I like the way this works out, we're going to actually be doing, and you'll see at the end, I've already made my mashed potatoes up. We're going to put scoops of mashed potatoes on top of this, and we're going to sprinkle on the soy cheese. Something a little bit different. And so
A
instead
little
of having
better
a whole
presentation.
covering,
Yes.
well, the
better
first one's good.
presentation, yeah.
No, the first one's good, but it's just that, you know, I'm always trying to do
The
something a little
scoop,
bit
the
different.
scoop.
Something a little
Yeah.
bit different, okay? So you'll get a chance to see at the end of the program, as you're already seeing now, it is now heating up. And once it gets done, and I would say anywhere between 15, 20 minutes is what we need, then we're going to add on the mashed potatoes in a scoop, ice cream scoop, and we're going to sprinkle on our soy cheese as well. So, once again, is that a quick one or not?
Oh, yes.
On
Quick
top of the stove, skillet.
shepherd's pie.
Shepherd's
Skillet.
pie, absolutely.
On top of the stove.
On top of the stove.
Because this is normally in the oven.
This is usually goes in the oven, and if it's in the oven, it can go anywhere from, I would say anywhere from, let's say 40 minutes, 45 minutes to cook inside the oven, not to mention you turn the stove on. But listen, my friends keep saying, I want to eat healthy, Paula, but you got too many recipes, take too long to cook. So this recipe is dedicated to all my friends. They keep saying they need something quick and fast, but healthy.
And save on your utility bills.
Save on that utility
You're
bill
not
as
turning
well.
on the oven.
Yes. And the next one we're going to be using, the next recipe, is knock down, drag out.
Knock down, drag out.
What we're going to be making next is chicken fajitas.
Chicken fajitas.
It calls for 1 carton of mock chicken strips, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 2 garlic cloves chopped, 1 medium onion sliced, 1 green pepper sliced, 1 red pepper sliced, and 4 whole wheat tortilla shell soft. And we're going to be having 1 cup of your favorite salsa, 4 tablespoons of soy sour cream, and 1 tablespoon of chives. Now, this recipe is another quickie when we're talking about trying to do recipes that you can do on top of the stove.
On top of the stove.
I mean, who does not like fajitas, okay?
I
And
do.
So I know. And it's a quick and easy one once again.
Yes, it is.
It calls for very simple recipes. And once again, for this type of recipe, really and truly, you can pre-cut up all your bell peppers, your onions, and everything, and have them already ready to go. And for this particular one, what I did also, well, this is a mock. I'm using mock chicken strips.
Okay, now let's talk about this now. Of course, there are many brands of mock chicken strips used in one particular brand. This is a frozen version.
A frozen version. They got them out there. Once again, they got mock chicken strips. They got mock beef strips. All of those are out there on the market now. They come frozen. They're lower in sodium. They have no cholesterol whatsoever. And basically, this is actually made from soy. Soy shreds, we call soy shreds, right. And so it's very, very good. And I've already pre-cooked it. It only takes a few minutes, but I already pre-cooked it. So what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead on and start getting
does it come already seasoned?
Now, some of it comes with its own seasoning, but this one is just, all I did was just brown it in a little bit of olive oil. So it does come with a seasoning. They have different flavorings, like a teriyaki, or they might have a sweet and sour. They actually come in their own packages inside of the frozen item also as well, that you put on when you get done.
Now, you can get this, again, at your regular grocery store. You don't have to necessarily go to a health food store for this.
In a frozen food section, all right?
Okay.
And so we have a lot of fun in Huntsville because we have a lot of real good stores that have come to Huntsville.
That's right.
You know, and so we're excited, you know, to be able to have more variety available to us than we never had before. So what you're going to do is you go ahead and get the onions ready for me. I'm going to go ahead and turn the stove on so I can get the olive oil going. We're going to warm that olive oil up. And we're going to begin to add to, and this is another fast and quick recipe. I'm going to go ahead and pour in my olive oil. This is 2 tablespoons of olive oil. It's going in. All right.
I guess people are wondering, well, why not use chicken? I mean, you know, sometimes we can't take that for granted that people know that chicken is not one of the best foods to eat because a lot of the hormones in there, and of course you have the cholesterol, saturated fat, and so you have a lot of things along with the chicken that it's not really that beneficial for our health.
And that's the name of the game.
Yeah, a lot of diseases, Campylobacter, Salmonella, E. coli, and so a lot of those things are in recalls just about every month or week, volunteer recalls. So that's why we want to go from a plant-based type than the chicken itself, because you don't get the cholesterol, saturated fat, the E. coli, Salmonella, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, that's the name of the game. I mean, a lot of times we meet, because in our health lectures as we talk, we meet people who have a problem with high cholesterol or sodium levels are very, very high. Might have had their first heart attack or their first stroke. And they're trying to find something that they can switch over to. And so that's what our whole ministry is about, is actually not taking away the superfood, and a superfood I mean by foods that people are used to eating, not taking away their superfood, but trying to adapt them to a lifestyle of a more healthier version of the food.
Just want to give them something better. The
Something
main thing
better.
is something better. This is something better.
Speaking of something better, we're going to go ahead and put those onions in there to talk about something better.
Good job,
That's
boy.
fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right.
Okay, you go ahead on and put those peppers in now, too. You can put the peppers in for
Now,
me.
these right here? Yeah, I don't need these
No,
chopped.
I want to use these.
Oh, these. Oh, okay.
So we're going to go ahead and do the peppers. All of us can saute at the exact same time.
Okay.
once again, the name of the game when it comes to cooking, and when it comes to food, and what people see, is actually all about the color. Look at the color of how beautiful this actually looks, okay, before we even add the mock chicken to it.
Okay.
It has very good color to it. And not to mention that in your yellow, your red, and your orange peppers, you actually have a high amount of vitamin C.
That's right.
And so this is a part in which it's quick and easy and it's colorful. So, you know, don't negate using the orange. You can use your orange one, orange pepper. You can use the yellow pepper. You can just make it really, really fancy and very, very pretty, okay? And now we're going to add in our strips. Chicken strips.
This is a good mouthfeel, a
It
good
is,
texture to it as well.
It is, Curtis.
Could you use that in not just fajitas, but I mean, let's mention about how you can use that other than fajitas.
Well,
I mean,
believe it or not, I have also, I put this in salads. You can, you know, if you have a
that's
recipe
right,
that
yes.
calls for chicken in a recipe, and you can actually use that. And you can actually cut the chicken into smaller pieces, smaller bite-sized pieces. It doesn't have to be this large, okay?
So any place you normally use chicken, you can use this in its place.
Any place is calling for your chicken strips, okay? Chicken strips. There are other things out there. They have chicken loaves, mock chicken loaves as well.
They
Let's
have
go ahead and
chicken
put the garlic
patties
in
too,
there,
don't
baby.
they?
They have chicken?
Yeah.
They do. I'm going to move that in the middle there. Put that garlic in there.
I use my thumb for that one.
You got everything in? Okay. Oh, man. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We're going to just fan this out here so that Hannah.
Yeah, Hannah.
She can smell that.
That's camera number 3.
Yeah, we're going to just fan it her way. That's what I'm saying.
You don't see her, but she is smiling.
Making her hungry. We're making her hungry. That's what she said, okay?
I think she has a napkin around her neck and fork in hand.
Is she ready to go?
She's ready to go. All right, I just called you out.
She called you out. Now, in this recipe also, these things are add-ons, okay? And I'm going to do that in a hot second. Let's go ahead and get our tortilla shell out.
So that's, now.
Tortilla shell out.
Okay, now this is whole wheat. We don't want a good plant-based diet right here and then have refined tortilla shells. So
I like the soft one, and a lot of times when I'm making these up, what I do is I actually go ahead on and put the shell over top of the actual pan for a few minutes, so it'll actually warm up right there. We talk about quick and fast and easy. You don't want to have to go through a bunch of changes.
That's a good trick right there, baby.
You just put it on top, and it will help to heat the tortilla shell up. And then you're going to just turn them over on the other side, and the heat is actually going to make them more pliable. But we need that for us to be able to make up these.
Because some of those shells are a little bit too firm. They're not as pliable. It's really hard to work with.
Yeah, usually when I buy these, I buy soft ones. Yeah. Okay, all right. So this is already nice and pliable. I'm going to put it right here. And we're going to move this one over. And we're going to go ahead on and fill up the shell.
Oh, yeah, this is going to be a good one. Is that mine right there that you're making?
Yeah, this is yours.
Okay.
This is yours.
Very good.
If Heather doesn't take it, Hannah doesn't take it from you.
Oh, no, Hannah's not going to take it from me.
Off. And what we're going to do is we're going to now a couple things I do. Number one is that you can actually, if you have a dressing, you know, a sour cream or whatever you want to use, you can put on the inside. But I like to just go ahead and wrap it up like so, and then turn it over.
Oh, seam side down.
And we got the seam side down, and you can see how pliable the second one is. And so we're going to go ahead on and put in this next one as well. Now this makes like 4, but I've already got some done. You will see at the end of the show. You can see how beautiful it is on the inside. Now, one of the things that I do also, and let's say, for instance, this might be the one thing we're going to have that evening.
Okay.
We're going to go ahead and fold it up, like so. And we're going to turn it over, seam side down.
Okay.
Right? And then in this recipe, what you would normally do
Now you're going to fix it up a little bit.
is you would take the actual salsa and put it on there.
You're working it now, baby. Oh, this will work. Yeah, this will work right here.
So a little bit there. Bring it on down.
Okay.
Okay. And then we're going to take our other spoon here, and we're going to dap on.
Now that's the soy sour cream.
Soy sour cream.
So again, plant-based, cholesterol-free.
Right.
Has a good mouthfeel for
and
that.
Then we're going to end up with a little bit of the chives across the top.
Yes.
Okay, and they'll see that at the end of the show as well. But it's a really pretty dish
Sure
to actually
is.
use. And with this, you can serve it up with chips, tortilla chips or baked chips. I've done that on one of our shows too in our book.
Okay.
We've taken the tortilla shell and we've cut it with a pizza cutter and we've sprinkled on some onion and garlic powder on them, a tiny bit of salt, and we actually bake them in the oven and we make our own chips from that as well. Or with this alone, you can actually have that. You can take beans and rice. If you want to make a big one, you take beans and rice, your black beans and your rice, you make that up, and you're going to put it inside the tortilla shell with the chicken and the bell peppers.
Oh, so now
it's
it's
a big one
fat,
serving.
thick, juicy fajita.
There you go.
There you go.
All right?
All right.
So, you know, we've done all these on top of the stove, but, you know, I got one more on top of
One
the
more.
stove. One more
On top of the stove.
And let's look at that one.
All right, let's do it, honey.
Apple, raisin, pecan burritos.
Oh,
It
have
calls for
mercy.
2 tablespoons of soy margarine, 1/2 cup of maple syrup, 2 Red Delicious apples sliced into strips, 2 Granny Smith apples sliced into strips, 3/4 cup of raisins, 3/4 cup of pecan pieces, 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, and 4 soft whole wheat tortilla shells warm. Okay, we're down toward the end here, and of course, you remember, Curtis, I mean, we used to do these cooking classes, and I remember when I first got started, I did not do desserts.
And the
okay?
people said...
I did not. And people kept saying, you know, I kept saying, they said, well, how come we don't have any dessert at the end of your programs? Where's your desserts at? And I said, you don't need no desserts. And the whole class together said,
Yes, we do.
And so from there, we began working with desserts because, you know, desserts are a lot harder to work with because, you know, you got to
make
do
them
a lot of
healthy
replacing.
and replacing.
Looking good and
yes.
healthy. Because, I mean, I've had a couple things that, okay, I have to tell you
No, more than 2 things.
I've had
several desserts.
Okay, I've had a couple of desserts and stuff, and I know a couple times we've gone to the health food store. Shirley, you know, I know you've had this experience.
I know
You go
where
to the
this
health
is
food store,
going.
you're kind of hungry, and you'll see some oatmeal cookies, or you'll see some kind of a fruit bar out there, or
cost
you know,
$3.
it costs about $3 or $5 for one, you know, and you go ahead and grab it up because it's healthy, and then you get in the car and you pop it open and you start eating it, and you're like, oh my goodness, this thing is terrible, absolutely terrible. And so for a long time, I kept saying, you know, until I can create good desserts, I'm not going there because I'm that girl that used to do that pound cake that had a pound of flour, a pound of butter, a pound of sugar. Yeah, that's what I used to make.
Yeah.
So good. And everybody knew me for those. So I kept saying, I can't go out there playing around and mess up stuff because they'll talk about me, right? And so these recipes that we began, and God is awesome because really everything belongs to Him. And as He began to move me into this ministry of cooking, and I kept saying, okay, Father, how are we going to replace the sugar? What are we going to use in the place of this? And we're going to use in the place of that. And the Lord kept saying different things to me about what to do. And as I began doing that, I began to see, is He awesome or what? That He began creating. I mean, after all, He is the creator of the world. He knows everything. Okay?
Cooking is the #1 gift, the #1 talent, the #1 thing that we should give high commendations to, the art of cooking by Ellen White. And so this ministry, your gift and talent that God has given you is underappreciated, underdeserved. But I appreciate it because I live with you. But other people do not understand the art of cooking, and not just cooking, but cooking healthfully, tastefully, and also not expensive and don't take a lot of time. That takes an art, and God has given you that gift.
Well, this is a burrito, and it's actually an apple, raisin, pecan, all the good stuff inside of it. It is absolutely good. And it's on top of the stove.
On top of the stove.
On top of the stove.
One more time.
We're not turning that oven on whatsoever for these recipes that we've given you today.
Okay.
So everything is on top of the stove, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead on and cut the apple. I already got some done for time's sake. Woo! Did that make noise or not?
Okay,
Yeah. Okay,
right.
sorry about that. I think we got the wrong cutting board.
That's all right.
Okay, let me just go ahead and use a lighter one.
Yeah.
And Curtis, while I do that there.
You want me to do the Granny Smith?
Yeah, you can do the Granny Smith for me.
Okay, I got the big one.
Now, you know what? I got one smaller than that.
Yeah, because this is a knife. this doesn't play.
You can try that one there.
Okay, now you went from big to small. Okay.
Okay. No, I was going to have you do this here, baby, and I was going to take these.
Oh, you take that one.
Then you got this one. I got that one.
Okay.
And all I'm going to do is just take that middle out of it. Okay, we're going to take the middle out, and then we're just going to slice it. Thin slices, thin slices. I already have a bowl here.
Okay.
Bring it over here. I'm going to go ahead and start putting them in there, and then this part here can go in. Just throw it in that thing.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so all we're going to do is just cut them, slice it thin. Okay, slice them thin. And We're not going to do a whole lot of them. We're just going to, I just want them to see. You already see how to do that. Okay?
And we'll do one more, I guess.
One more. All right? And the name of the game, you want those two colors. And I like the fact that I have a Granny Smith apple. For those of you who say, oh my goodness, she's cutting that in her hand. She's going to cut her hand. So let me just go ahead and do the real way you're supposed to do it.
Oh.
Okay.
I'm doing
I don't want my little young people who are watching decide to make this burrito wind up cutting themselves, okay?
I'm doing it the wrong way?
No, I'm talking about with me, the way I was cutting it in my hand, okay?
Okay.
So you can see these colors are very, very nice. Once again, we're going to go ahead on and get our skillet ready. And we're going to get ready to put in our margarine, because this one calls for margarine.
Yeah, that's enough, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, this one calls for margarine, and we're going to go ahead and put that in and get that going. All right, this is soy margarine, and so we're going to get that melted. And with that, we're going to move it around, get it nice and warm, okay? Because now when you do the apples, you're going to have to make sure you put the apples in some juice, okay? They need to go in the juice so they can keep it from going bad,
Okay.
all right?
All right.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and put the maple syrup in.
All right.
All right.
Pure maple syrup.
Pure maple syrup.
All right.
We're going to go ahead and start putting the apples in. Okay.
Granny Smith and Red
Granny
Delicious.
Smith and Red Delicious.
Any other apples we do, or this is just your preference?
This is the ones I like to do. They can do the other ones, but I like these. This is a better recipe.
Or you're not using the juice then? Just
No, I'm not using the juice.
Okay.
That orange juice was just used to actually
so it won't turn.
won't make the apples turn.
Okay.
They don't want to turn the apples. Okay. And we're going to go ahead on and put in the raisins. It's another real nice dish. And we're going to put in the pecans.
Okay.
Right? And this recipe, and then we're going to sprinkle on a tad bit, we call it a tad bit.
A dash, a tad, a pinch.
of the actual cinnamon.
Oh.
Okay?
I can see right now this is going to taste good.
Oh yeah, you can tell that, right? You
Okay.
can tell that. Okay, so this actually cooks for a few minutes on top of the stove, just in time for the apples to actually get tender, is what you're going to do. And then once again, you're going to introduce to that your actual is my favorite word today.
Yeah.
My favorite word today.
Actual.
I'm going to do this. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead on and put this inside the shell, and I'm going to roll them over, and I'm going to put some on top, so you will see it at the end of the program. So we just need for you just to stay by for that, because we got to go ahead and cook them apples. How about
Oh,
that?
so now
All
this will
right?
be cooked down
gonna
for a
cook down
while,
for a few minutes.
for a few minutes.
No, maybe about 10 minutes.
Okay, for
about
10 minutes. Okay. And then after that, you'll put it.
Put it inside the shell like I did when I did that fajita. We're going to just put it in the middle of the shell, wrap it up, and flip it over.
Oh my goodness!
Yes, we
Now
are.
that's
Quick and
fast. That's
easy.
quick, and also on top of the stove.
On top of the
All right.
stove. On top of the
Okay,
stove.
good.
It's on the stove.
Well, I know a lot of people may be asking, how can I get these recipes? So we have a roll right now. So let's go to the roll right now. And this is information that you need at this time.
If you would like to contact the Eakins to find out more about their ministry, or if you'd like to invite Curtis and Paula to present their seminars in your area, then you can contact them at Abundant Living, Post Office Box 2873, Huntsville, Alabama 35804. That's Abundant Living, Post Office Box 2873, Huntsville, Alabama 35804. You can call 256-859-1982. That's 256-859-1982. You may also order their products or get their recipes online at abundantlivingtv.org. That's abundantlivingtv.org.
Hello, I'm Jason Bradley, and we love to hear from those of you who take time to write and call us. A viewer in Brooklyn, New York wrote us to say, I've been watching 3ABN for several years now and want to congratulate your entire team as you celebrate your 30th anniversary. I love you all, and may God bless each and every one of you real good as you continue work for Him. May this gospel reach the ends of the earth so Christ can come and take His faithful children home. I hope to be one of them. Here's a letter from a viewer who enjoyed our music special, Hallelujah, We're Home at Last. They wrote, as I listened to the choir and Mr. Larry Goss, I just kept wondering, where would we be today if there were no 3ABN? Where would we be if there hadn't been a group of believers to proclaim this message to a lost and dying world? Where would we be if Jesus hadn't touched so many people to provide the funds to keep 3ABN going and on the air all these years? We simply must do all we can through the blessings the Lord has bestowed on each of us. So many of you tell us that 3ABN has brought you back to the Lord, like this viewer who writes from North Brunswick, New Jersey. I want to thank you for teaching me present truth, she says. I have been a Christian since I was 17, and I'm 74 now, but I was rebaptized last August and joined the Seventh-day Adventist Church. I've been watching 3ABN since we got cable in 2008, and I thank John Stanton and John Lomacang on house calls for answering my questions using the Bible. I also want to thank Doug Batchelor for explaining to me what happens when we die, just as I was asking that question while going through a bout of breast cancer. Thank you for being there for me. And finally, this letter that says, I left the church at an early age, but was rebaptized from watching 3ABN. We pray for you each morning and evening because you are truly like family to us. We can't always get to church, but thank God we have 3ABN. This is truly God's station. I want to thank all of you who pray for this ministry and support financially each month. And if the Holy Spirit impresses, please send your tax-deductible gifts to 3ABN, Post Office Box 220, West Frankfort, Illinois, 62896. Thank you for your love and support, and may God bless you all during this new year.
All right.
Now, we have completed
Teamwork.
on top of the stove.
On top of the stove.
On top of the
Not
stove.
in the oven, on top of the stove.
Yeah, yeah. Quick and easy and fast recipes you can
Yes.
do on the stove. Still good, nutritious, and delicious.
And save on the utility bill.
And surprise the family with the foods they like. All right?
All right.
For instance,
Okay, that's
like we
good.
have made our lasagna on top of the stove.
Okay, look at that cheese. It's
Yes,
melted too.
cheese is
let's-
melted on top of it, you
Scrumptious,
know.
honey.
And then we did skillet kale.
Oh, yes.
We sautéed that kale and actually did it with the bell peppers and the onions with that as
Very
well.
colorful, yes.
Then we went on and did a shepherd's pie.
Oh, you put those potatoes in there.
And I
with-
showed you, I said at the end of the show,
Yeah.
we actually do potatoes in with
Ice
ice cream
cream
soup.
scoop, yes.
And then we put a little bit of the soy Parmesan cheese
I
on
like
top
that touch
of
to it, baby.
And then we did chicken fajitas.
All right.
Chicken fajitas with the
Chicken in quotes.
and everything mock.
Oh,
And then we
yes.
also ended our program with a dessert. Everybody wants a dessert, okay?
Yes.
That's our apple, pecan, and raisin burritos. Everything is good on the inside,
yes,
all right?
Looks good, yes. Now, that's good. Now, all of that looks good. I want to taste and test all of it. Can we just work from here? We got about 40 seconds. Can we work from here?
No. See,
oh, wait a minute.
I knew.
Oh.
It's always on the show that you're going to try to come here and try to
okay.
get you some food.
So I guess we'll be tasting that one.
We're going to be tasting those fajitas first because I know this is one of your favorites as
Oh,
well.
yes, it is.
And so we're going to do the fajitas. And people always say, how come you don't feed Curtis on the show? Why don't you let him have any food?
Yeah, and keep those emails coming, too, because
told
I
him-
need those emails.
I told him the more you talk about Curtis not getting anything to eat, the less he gets to eat.
Okay,
so you
I'll tell
might
you
want
what.
to just kind of curve
Do
all
not
that
keep
there
those emails
comment.
coming. Okay, stay right there. Don't, because it will backfire. So let's close out. John 10:10. Jesus said, I come, that they might have life and have it more abundantly.